Hi, I'm Daniel with eTrailer, and today we're going to be taking a look at the B&W Gooseneck Hitch kit for our 2015 Chevrolet Silverado 2500. So this kit will only come with the side plate and the two rails. And it will not come with this center section. So if you're starting with nothing, you will need this to have your gooseneck hitch. But if you're wondering what you need for your specific truck, feel free to give us a call and we can give you some advice on what you need. So I would recommend just getting the full kit. You can buy that on our website. But if you already have the center section, then this is going to be a great option. As far as the install goes, it is fairly easy because the B&W makes it that way. But there is kind of hard to reach torque spots. So if you don't have the tools or time, feel free to check out our dealer locator and we can find a professional to do it for you. Without further ado, let's get into the install. So to start off the installation, we did take down the spare tires. It's going to make it easier to get up under here. And another thing to keep in mind is if your truck has airbag suspension, like we did today, I had to remove these U-bolts and put it in the bolt into the frame instead. So that's a little prep work before we can get started here. So now we're going to cut out the heat shield that's directly above this exhaust here on this side of the roof rail facing the cab, and then on the other side as well. And to cut this out, you can use 10 snips, but I'm going to use a multi-tool to make it a little easier. All right, now with this cut out, you can go ahead and remove this piece. So now the next step is you're going to want to determine where you're going to cut your hole. So the measurements are going to be different in the instructions for 8-foot beds or short beds. But what you're going to want to do is hook your tape measure on your into the bed, not the tailgate, and mark your measurement. And then you're going to want to find the perfect middle. So of course you just want to measure between your wheel wells and cut that in half. So first I'm going to go through with a 1/4-inch drill bit, and then I'm going to go back with the hole saw. And you're going to want to file down the edges if there is a lot of burrs on here. Now I'm just going to vacuum up the mess. And now I'm going to just spray paint the edge to prevent corrosion or rust in the future. So now we're at the passenger side here, and we're going to need to cut a notch out of this wheel well liner to slide our rails in. So I kind of marked it out. It's right directly above your suspension here, a little bit in front of that rail is where I'm cutting it. So I did have to make this hole a lot bigger than the instructions said. I just kind of worked at it, test fit it, and then came back and cut more out. But I did pretty much cut flush with this radius here of the bed liner. But now I'm going to go ahead and put my rail in. So again, I'm on the passenger side, and the holes, you're going to want to face those towards the tailgate. So I'm going to get this in here, slide this to the other side. Now I've got my rear cross member, and you may want to run the bolts through all these threaded holes here just to make sure there's no paint in there, and you have an easy time getting those in there. But now I'm going to go, once I pushed that first cross member up towards the cab, I'm going to go ahead and put this one in there as well. You may notice that these are closer to one side, it's offset. We will be pulling that down like this, so the offset holes will be closer to the ground. But now I'm going to go and slide this through. So now we're going to go ahead and flip this up in the position we need it. You can use like a crescent wrench, or I'm going to use vice grips to get a better hold of it. It can be kind of tight. I'm just going to flip that up. So now the front cross member here, closest to the driver's side, we're going to get our bolt in. You're through the back side. It is the second from the left-hand side if you're looking towards the cab. And then we're gonna get this rubber O-ring on there because this is gonna be sitting up behind the fuel tank. And you're gonna wanna push that as far as possible. So this will hold your bolt in for you while you're putting your nut on. So now you're gonna wanna push this front cross member past your hole here, your cutout. It may be kind of hard to get up around this gas tank, but you can kind of just push it back there, and then you're gonna wanna rotate it so the holes are facing us. So now I'm gonna go ahead and lift up this center section. Make sure the handle is facing the driver's side. And I'm gonna kind of get this at an angle here, up around the exhaust. So once we got into place, I had somebody on top put this lifting device that we made to get that secured under the bed. You can use maybe like a couple buckets, 2x4, and like a ratchet strap if you don't have that device. But now I'm gonna go ahead and try and get our bolts in. And with this centered up and tight against the bed, we can get these bolts on and our locking washer and our bolt on. You do want to get that one we did that was locked in with that O-ring. Probably want to get that one first. We did struggle a bit because this isn't the stock gas tank, so it's a little tight. That's why we couldn't really show you. But yeah, once you get that on, we can go ahead and put the bolts in the back plate as well. So now we can go ahead and line up our rear crossbar with our center section, line up those threaded holes, and push it tightly against it. And then you're going to get your bolt. You want to have your lock washer and then your regular washer on there, and we can just thread all those on. So now you're going to want to thread your bolt onto your bolt guide. This is going to help us put the bolts on. Kind of just want to get it started. Then you're probably going to have to go down with it with a 15/16 drill bit. And you kind of just want it to touch those grooves there, and you don't want to depress those because that'll hold the bolt into place. And you can see the angled part is down, the head's on top of that. And then this is the orientation of the long one. So we're on the inside passenger side right now, and I'm putting the bolt in. And I'm gonna feel with my finger so I can get it where we need it. And there, we have it through. Now we can do the other side. So now still on the passenger side here towards the cab, we wanna get it through this hole in the frame. This one is kind of tight, so you want to position the head parallel to the bolt guide. And this one's going to be a little difficult to get in because that bolt's pretty long. So I'm going to bend this actually fully back just to get it in here, just enough. And then I'm going to bend it back out using the frame like that, and now I can get it in. So now this is the driver's side under the bed. So I had to cut this bolt guide because these lines were in the way, so I couldn't get that pivot to pivot around them. So I just cut it right before them, and I was able to get it in that way. So now we're gonna go ahead and put the driver's side plate on first. And you can tell it's the driver's side because it does have the handle diagram on it. But I'm gonna go ahead and carefully put this up here. Try not to back our bolts out. Pull it out, make sure it doesn't back itself out. Then I can push this up. And get this one through as well. Now I can go and put the hardware on. So I'm going to put the washer, lock washer, and nut on there. And right now I'm just gonna get everything hand tight. So I'm gonna do the other one and the other side as well. And now I'm going to go ahead and get my 1.5" bolts up through the top of this bracket, through our cross member, and then into our bracket. You may have to find the sweet spot. And then we're going to put our washer, our locking washer, and our nut on. Now on the tailgate side, you want to put your locking washer and then your regular washer on your bolt. And then this one is the threaded side. So you're just going to want to find your hole and thread it in. And I'm going to do that on the other side as well. And now we'll go ahead and tighten up our center section, all 8 on both sides. So once everything's tightened up on both sides, the 1.5 inch on this side and the 2-inch bolts on this side, we can go ahead and measure to the nearest cross beam on the cab, or the truck bed, I'm sorry. So as you can see, ours is just under 1 inch, so I'm going to go ahead and do this on the passenger side. And if it is a little off, then we can go ahead and kind of give a smack with a hammer and make sure it's square to the vehicle. And now we can tighten the plate to our frame with our 15/16 socket here. So now lastly, we're going to go ahead and tighten the bolts that connect our side plate to our cross members. So I'm going to try and get a 3/4 inch ratchet on here. It's a little hard to see. And now with everything tightened up, we can go ahead and torque everything down in that same order. And if you don't have a torque wrench at home, you usually can buy one at your local auto parts store, or you can purchase one here at eTrailer. So for the handle to disengage the locking mechanism on the gooseneck, you're going to want to cut out some of the bed liner so when you pull this out, it has a nice area of travel. So under the vehicle, we actually fed the handle through this hole in the center section and then out to the wheel well, and then we bolted it in place. So for the safety chain loops, I went up underneath here, got center best I could, and drilled up through the bed, through the top. And now I'm going to go up top and go down with a step bit to the size I need. Now I'm just going to open these holes up with the step bit until these can slide in nicely. And don't forget to spray your holes so that it prevents rust. Now I'll put these back in and tighten them down on the other side. Okay, and now we can put our springs on underneath our safety loops and our nut on. And now I'm going to tighten these up just till they're flush with the end of our safety chain loop. And that was a look at our B&W Gooseneck Hitch kit for our 2015 Chevrolet Silverado 2500.